Hello and welcome back. How are you all? I believe all of you are okay by the grace of Almighty Lord. Dear students, do you sometimes feel bored, disappointed? Do you feel numb? It's very natural in these days because so many days we are staying at our home and we are not going outside. So it's very natural to be bored. But I suggest you all to not allow yourself to be bored. Always remember that you are not alone. You are being supported by your family members. Try to enjoy your time, enjoy your moment. Whenever you are feeling depressed or disappointed or bored, learn something new. Listen some good music. Read some books. Try out something new. Tell yourself there is no time to be bored. We should live each and every second of our life. Now you have plenty of time to know thyself, to know your family members, to be with your family members. Always obey your parents. Try to help each and every member of your family. Take care of your family members. Be caring for each other. Okay, let's go to our lesson. Today we are going to discuss about voice change. What is voice? Voice is the form of a verb which is used to say or what the subject does or what happens to the subject. Voice are of two types. They are active voice and passive voice. What is an active voice? When the subject does the action. A sentence generally begins with the performer of the action. That means subject. Then the verb. Then the object or person. That the action is performed on. This is called the active sentence. Here are the structure. Subject, verb and object. For example, David ate rice. Robert loves Amy. I can play the guitar. Passive voice. When the object or action become the focus. If we begin the sentence with the subject or the person that the action is performed on, we formulate a passive sentence. Okay, here you have the structure. Object plus verb plus by subject. Rice was eaten by David. Amy is loved by Robert. The guitar can be played by me. So here you have a note. Not all verbs in English take an object. Therefore, some sentences are complete without an object. For example, David went to the market. David went down. So this type of sentence cannot be changed into the passive voice. When should we use the passive voice? We do not know who the subject is. When we have the situation like this, we do not know the subject. In this moment, we use the passive form. For example, when we say, somebody broke the window. The window was broken. Somebody opened the door. The door was opened. Here we don't know the subject, so that we have written the window was broken, or we can say the door was opened. So number 2, it is not important who the subject is. That means we use passive voice when it is not important to know who the subject is. For example, the rules were changed. Who changed the rule? This is not important, but the rules were changed. This is important. The game has been cancelled. So who cancelled the game? It is not important. That means the subject is not important here, but the game has been cancelled. This is important. So here we have used the passive form. Number 3, to avoid blame of hide identity of the subject. To avoid blame of hide identity of the subject. So when we want to avoid blame of hide identity of the subject, then we use passive voice. For example, mistakes were made. The TV is broken. So we don't want to say that I broke the TV or he broke the TV. But if you say I broke the TV, then it is a little bit rude. So that in this situation, we are using passive voice, right? Number 4, when it is obvious to the reader or the listener who the subject is because it is the person who usually does it. In this situation, we can use passive voice. For example, David opened the door. The door was opened. Okay. How we formulate the passive voice. This is very important to know how we formulate the passive voice. Number 1, put the subject of the verb at the beginning of your sentence. That means object will be the subject. Number 2, conjugate the verb to be in the same tense as the active sentence. Put the main verb in the past participle form. The postman delivers the mail. So, the passive form will be the mail is delivered. The painter is painting my room. So, the passive form will be my room is being painted. Someone stole the money. The money was stolen. That's it. So here you have a note. Note number 1 is if you want to specify or mention the subject, then use by. For example, my room is being painted by the painter. Note number 2 is if the active sentence begins with no one or anybody, the passive sentence will be negative. No one turned on the light. The light was not turned on. Okay. Note number 3. If there is a preposition between the verb or an object, the preposition will remain after the verb. They talked about the issue. Here we have the verb talked. And after verb we have the preposition about. So the note number 3 is if there is a preposition between the verb or an object, the preposition will remain after the verb. So the issue is object here and verb. Talked is verb here. So we have a preposition about between these two. The issue was talked about. Okay. So rules of changing from active to passive. Let's see. Object becomes the subject. Then we have to use to be verb according to the subject or tense. Past participle form of the main verb. Prepositions, you can use by, to, at, with, etc. according to the situation. Number 5, nominative or the subject will be object. That means nominative case will be objective. For example, we can help the poor. The poor can be helped by us. Changing of the subject. When I is the subject, me is the object. He changes to him, we changes to us, they changes to them, she changes to her, you changes to you. That means you remains the same. Chorim, that means name doesn't change in subject and objective form. The girl doesn't change. The boy doesn't change. Who changes to by whom and whom changes to who. Auxiliary verbs. In present indefinite tense, we use am, is, are. Present continuous tense, we use am being, is being, are being. In present perfect tense, we use have been, has been. Past indefinite tense, we use was, were. In past continuous tense, we use was being, were being. In past perfect tense, we use had been. In future indefinite tense, we use shall be, will be. In future continuous tense, we use shall be being, will be being. In future perfect tense, we use shall have been, will have been. Alright. So here we have some defective verbs. That means if we have can in our active voice, that can be changed to can be in passive form. If we have may, that will change into may be. Shall to shall be. Will to will be. Should to should be. Could to could be. Might to might be. Would to would be. Must to must be. Ought to ought to be. Used to be. So here we have the rules of changing present indefinite tense. Okay, if you don't have a very clear idea about tense, then it will be very difficult for you to change the sentences from active to passive. So try to learn them very perfectly. Okay, here you have the rules of changing present indefinite tense from active to passive. Number 1 is object will be the subject. This is the basic thing. Number 2, then you have to write down the auxiliary verb, that is am, is, are. Am, is, are. These 3 auxiliary verbs will be used in present indefinite tense. Past participle form of main verb. Preposition by will be used here. Subject will change to object. For example, Mary writes a letter. Passive form, a letter is written by Mary. So you see, Mary writes a letter. Mary is subject, writes verb, a letter object. So this object, a letter, will be the subject in passive form. So now this is our subject, and then write down the auxiliary. A letter is third person singular number, so we will use is here. A letter is, then past participle form of the main verb. So writes is the main verb here. So we have written the past participle form, written here. Then by. Subject becomes the object, Mary. A letter is written by Mary. Dina sings a song. A song is our subject now. A song is sung by Dina. A song is our subject. Then the auxiliary verb, past participle form of the verb, by, and then subject becomes the object. A song is sung by Dina. It stores honey in the hive. Honey is stored by it in the hive. So here you have exercise number 1. According to these rules, you have to change these sentences from active to passive. Try to solve these exercises. Present continuous tense. So object will be the subject, then auxiliary verb, then main verb, then by, then subject will be the object. So for example, he is making a kite. You can see that he is making a kite. This is present continuous tense. So this will be changed according to this rule. He is our subject here. Is making is auxiliary verb, making main verb, a kite, object. So a kite will be the subject here. A kite, then auxiliary verb. Then we should write down am being, is being, are being. So here we will write down is being. A kite is being, then past participle form of verb made, then by, then subject becomes the object. He changes to him. Okay. A kite is being made by him. They are playing cricket. Likewise, cricket is being played by them. Here you have exercise number 2. Okay, solve them. Present perfect tense. So here you have given the rules. Object will be the subject. Auxiliary verb have been, has been. These 2 auxiliary verbs will be used here. Number 3, main verb, and after that you have to write down by, and then subject will be the object. For example, Maya has shut the door. So the door is object here and this will be the subject. Okay, you see, the door has been shut by Maya. The door is the subject here, then auxiliary has, and according to the structure we have to use have been, has been. So has been is used here, and past participle form of verb shut, then by, then subject becomes the object. The door has been shut by Maya. She has written letters. Letters have been written by her. Okay. Here you have exercise number 3. Solve them. Here you have the rules of changing past indefinite tense. At first, object will be the subject. Then you have to write down the auxiliary verb, was or were will be used here. Then write down the past participle form of main verb. And after that, you have to write down by. Subject will be the object. For example, I drew a picture. A picture was drawn by me. He thanked me. I was thanked by him. Exercise number 4. This is given for you. Past continuous tense. Object will be the subject. Auxiliary verb was being or were being will be used here. Then you have to write down the past participle form of the main verb. Then write down by. Subject will be the object. For example, He was making a kite. He is the subject here, was auxiliary verb, making main verb, a kite. Object. Object will be the subject. A kite was auxiliary verb. As according to the rules we have to use was being or were being. Since our subject is singular in number, we have to write down was being here. Then past participle form of verb made is used here. By, then subject becomes the object. He changes to him here. A kite was being made by him. They were playing cricket. Cricket was being played by them. Exercise number 5 is given here for you. Try to solve them. Past perfect tense. So, object will be the subject. Then you have to write down the verb. Had been will be used here. Then write down the past participle form of the main verb. Write by. Then subject will be the object. For example, Maya had shut the door. The door had been shut by Maya. She had written letters. Letters had been written by her. So letters is object here. This will be the subject. And in auxiliary verb, we have to use had been. Letters had been. Past participle form of the verb written. Then we have to use by. And then subject she changes to her. Letters had been written by her. Exercise 6 is given for you. Okay? Try to solve them. Future indefinite tense. Again, object will be the subject. Write auxiliary verb. Use the auxiliary verb shall be or will be. Past participle form. After that, write down the past participle form of main verb. Write down the preposition. Then subject will be the object. For example, I shall buy a book. A book will be bought by me. Dina will sing a song. A song will be sung by Dina. It stores honey in the hive. Honey is stored by it in the hive. Exercise 7 is given for you. Okay, solve them. Future continuous tense. Again, object will be the subject. Write auxiliary verb shall be being or will be being. Then write down the past participle form of the main verb. Write down by, then subject will be the object. He will be making a kite. So, he is the subject here, will be auxiliary verb, making main verb, a kite object. So, a kite will be the subject. And for will be being, we have to write down shall be being or will be being. So, we have to write down will be being. A kite will be being past participle form of verb made by him. They will be playing cricket. Cricket will be being played by them. Exercise 8. Solve it. Future perfect tense. Again the rules. Object will be the subject. Auxiliary verb shall be, shall have been or will have been will be used. Main verb, past participle form of the main verb. Then by, subject will be the object. Maya will have shut the door. The door will have been shut by Maya. She will have written letters. Letters will have been written by her. Exercise 9. do it for you. So when we have double object in our sentence, then how will we change that? So make the subject of the passive voice from any two objects. From the objects, you can choose any of the object. Then write down the auxiliary verb according to the tense. Write down past participle form of the main verb. Then write down the left object. Then by, subject will be the object. For example, I gave him a ball. So him is object here and also a ball is object here. You can use any of them. Okay, we will use him as our subject. He is given a ball by me. He told me a story. Say, I am told a story by him. Okay, here you have exercise number 10. Try to do it by yourself. Okay, that's the end of our discussion today. Our next lesson will be voice change part 2. So today we have solved the assertive sentences. So in our next class we will solve the rest of the sentences like interrogative sentences, optative sentences, imperative sentences. We will change this type of sentences from active to passive form. Alright, try to go through to that topics. Right. Okay, dear boys, take care. Thanks to you all. Stay home, stay safe.